So I'm going to talk about Yotel, just as a little bit of background in case you haven't read the bump in the brochure. I was an analyst at HVS about 15 years ago, and about 10 years ago I sold my home and decided to start a new hotel concept. And really what I'd done was I'd done a lot of feasibility projects on anything from luxury 5-star hotels to budget hotels. And really, it came from my own personal desire in that there were lots of well-designed hotels. You see design, is up and prices along the bottom. And you can see that there was a lot of design hotels and 5-star hotels up in the upper quartile. There was a lot of budget hotels down here, which weren't very stylized, but offered a low price point. And there really wasn't anything that offered great style at a low price. And so I thought that was sort of the sector to get into. And really what I also saw in the landscape was that there was a consumer shift, as we've seen with Apple products. I was just explaining to someone yesterday, if you look at the iPod, it sort of crosses socio and economic boundaries. So a 7-year-old kid will have one, an investment banker will have one, a student will have one. So it's still a quality product, but it's still affordable for everybody. Same with Mini. Same with lots of other brands. So the idea of luxury for the mass consumer was definitely something that was moving across the globe. I also saw that, with the internet and with the way that people looked at things, brands were much more global, and hence, we have 4 hotels, 1 in New York and 3 in Europe, and yet I'm already in Asia trying to expand into Asia because I think the global reach of the consumer it's much larger these days. And, you look at people, they're much more entrepreneurial, they're much more savvy with the internet, there's much more transparency, and so a very small brand such as mine can penetrate a global market much more easily than in the past. It's just a question of whether you can get the PR, which is something that we've done quite well at. So, if you look at people, they're playful, adventurous, they're connected now. They're a lot more spontaneous. We know that from the short lead times that we see with the booking window. People are a lot more sort of aware of trends. You see brands like Prada and Porsche and so forth getting into, now appealing to a much sort of the middle class and even below that. So my inspiration really was sort of 4 major areas. One was I love 5-star design hotels. They were fantastic, but I didn't want to spend £500 a night staying in one. I loved the idea of the Express by Holiday Inn model, which was, I did some of the first feasibility studies for those back in the UK. And I love the idea, in those days when they first came out, it was a very simple operating model. It was one fixed price, and the GOPs were very high. But then sort of the innovation came from looking at Japanese capsule hotels and British Airways first class. And I suppose if you want to provide luxury, but you want to provide it at an affordable price, something's got to give. And so our view was that if you used aircraft designers to design a hotel space instead of interior designers, you would get a more ergonomically efficient space. And so you'd be able to shrink the land. And so the idea that you could provide luxury in a very small space and get more rooms per square meter on a piece of real estate was really sort of the way I looked at it. What we wanted to do was to go into very dense, urban, expensive locations, New York, airport terminals, and put our pods or cabins right in the center of these places. And so that, they always said location, location, location. So, we are looking to be in very central locations. So we used aircraft designers. We've worked with 3 aircraft designers over the years. We worked with the guys that did the first British Airways first class seat, the first flatbed. Then we worked with Priestman Good, who did the A380 Airbus mock-up for the big double-decker. So all the cabins you saw, they did the interiors. And then the latest people we've used is Soft-Room, who did the Virgin Lounge and Virgin Upper Class. So we're very sort of tied to, excuse me if there's any interior designers in the crowd, but we're very tied to sort of the ergonomic way that you have to you sell a seat for £5,000 on an aeroplane, yet you still have to offer luxury, and it has to work as a dining space, a sleeping space, a sitting space, and a storage space. So that was really where we came about it from the room. We built, over the years, we've built 7 different mock-ups, probably spent close to $1 million on different prototypes, whether it's for New York or for the airports. And some of the things that we like, all of the rooms have ensuite monsoon showers, all hand organic mattresses, flat screen TVs, power points where you can actually plug in your stuff. So often in hotels, the power points are, behind the bed or in the wrong position. You can't get your laptop lead. We offer free super strength Wi-Fi throughout the building. We offer free printing, free Lavazza coffee on every floor, free filtered water, free breakfast. So all of that's included in our rate. We just think that nowadays, as I think someone touched on yesterday, you check into a hotel, they charge you $15 for the Wi-Fi, they charge you $1 a page for the printing, they charge you $12 for a room service coffee at 5 o'clock in the morning when you're jet lagged and you can't sleep. So the idea that we just included all of that in our operating model just seemed to appeal to the consumer that we're after. We also put in super quiet windows. We spend a lot of money on the windows and the doors to make sure that the rooms really feels like a luxurious room instead of like a budget hotel. So the first thing we did, we built, the first 3 projects we did were airports, inside the airport terminals. They're small projects, between 30 and 60 rooms. And we started off with 2 room products, 7 square meters and 10 square meters. They're all en suite. You can see here's a single bed and ensuite shower. With these rooms, we trade at the same RevPAR as the Hilton attached to the terminal. So with 75% of my rooms 7 square meters, I'm achieving £100 RevPAR, which is about 200 Sing. So you get to see that it's sort of quite a profitable operation. A lot of that comes from our average rate is the same as the market, so we hit the same average rate, £45, £50 as say the Expresses or the Ibis and so forth, even with our 7 square meter rooms, and then we drive the RevPAR through the occupancy. So our RevPAR penetrations are anywhere between 140 and 240%. This is the airport product, and this is where we started out, and this is a market that we're continuing to use. But you can see that even with a low-cost hotel, and we called it affordable luxury, the idea is that we get more rooms on a piece of real estate, which means that we can amortize the land cost over a greater number of rooms, which means we can spend more on the fit-out. But the idea is that everything's been thought of. So you have a flip-up desk here, the chair gets stored here, the bed is motorized, and so that will fold away. There's storage underneath both sides of the bed. There's hanging space in this techno wall up here. So it's everything you need in a small space. And these, as I come on and show you some floor plans, these are inside airport terminals. So in the UK, you don't need to have windows. And I know in Singapore, there's some hotel projects that don't have to have windows. And so the idea of using this product is that you're able to fill up a piece of land with lots of rooms, especially in very dense urban locations like London. In New York, unfortunately, you need to have windows. So at the end of 2007, we have Middle East investors. At the end of 2007, I managed to persuade them to fork up $300 million to build a 700-bedroom hotel in New York. So we'd had our 3 small airports. And so right at the end of 2007, we bought some land and we did a massive mixed-use development with one of New York's largest developers related. So that's a 1 million square foot building. We've got 250,000 square feet with 669 rooms in. And there's 800 apartments in there, which is separate from us, and 3 theatres. So we've gone straight from being a little micro hotel at the airport to being sort of quite a big project in the centre of New York City. This is on 10th Avenue. Here, the room product, we went up to about 15 square meters, which is basically the product that we'll be using now to expand through the city centre. And the interesting thing that we've done, and you may notice in the other one, is that we've put the bathroom, the entrance is here, we've put the bathroom at the back of the room. And what we felt that, traditionally in a hotel room, especially if you think about it in a small room, you walk in, you have a corridor, you have your bathroom to the left, and if the room's really small, as soon as you walk past the bathroom, you're just hit with the bed. So the whole perception of the room is that it's very small because you've wasted the corridor on just walking in. And so what we've done is, we put the bathroom at the back. That does have some expense associated with it, especially in a place like New York where it gets very cold in the winter. So, the chasers are on the outside, so we've had to re-insulate the chasers, also strengthen the risers, also strengthen the concrete because the risers are on the outside and not in the middle. But the room, we think, works extremely well. We have super silent, heating and cooling. As I said, extra quiet windows. The techno wall, which has, iPods, docking station, plugs into the TV. We don't do any movie channels. Again, we think it's expensive. We don't do room service. We do food to go downstairs, so you can just go downstairs and get your order on the telephone, go down and pick it up. We're a union operation in New York, so that provides some cost implications to providing room service. Lots of storage, 2 hanging spaces, desk, plug points where you need them, free national calls as well. As I said, free printing, free Wi-Fi. There's a galley on every floor with free coffee, free water, free teas, and so forth. So people, we have a very international clientele. But we have, in our first 12 months, we've penetrated the US market. So for an unknown US brand, we went to New York, opened the largest hotel in New York, and we were already hitting 80% occupancy at about a $200 US average rate, and with a 50% GOP, and we've already penetrated the market, and we do 50% US nationals. So again, the bed moves, so you can see the bed goes up, folds up, just to give you more storage. So when there's 2 people in a room, you can just move around a bit more and get changed. And then there's a privacy curtain that goes across the back of the bathroom here. All the materials in the bathroom, stone floors, corian sinks, in the shower, wherever the shower is, there's a special laminate wallpaper that we've used. It's just easy to wipe down and change. The room is very simple. There's the bed, the techno wall, and this storage area, and then the bathroom. So while we've spent millions of dollars on prototype rooms, it was just very interesting. We put the bathrooms at the front, we put the bathrooms at the back, we put the bathrooms at the back, and so we did lots and lots of different connotations, and we found that this was the best one. But also, we've looked at the durability of the materials, and given that we get, you can imagine when we've got rooms that are 15 square meters and even smaller with the other products, we're getting up to 30% more rooms on a piece of real estate. So that enables us to spend a little bit more on the FF&E. We even have 3 beds in 15 square meters, and we have a bunk bed above these. We've just taken out the desk. We've just put in another 30 of these rooms. These are just incredibly popular in New York, and I reckon we could sell significantly more. I mean, we're looking at 25 to 50% of our inventory being these rooms, wherever we put them, because just people love these rooms. And also what it enables you to do is, obviously, in a leisure market period, when we found out in New York, New York's a very segmented market, and there are periods of time when it is just the leisure market. And we found out that there were lots of people that wanted twins, or they had babies and families, and so we found that this was necessary so that we didn't exclude ourselves from those sort of demand periods. So all in at the moment, with all the IT systems and everything, all the FF&E and all the OS&E, we're looking at about 25,000 Sing, just to fit out the 4 main components: the carpet, all the IT systems, the kiosks, and so forth, and then also the OS&E. And just to give you some floor plans, this is something we're looking at now in Singapore. The rooms here are 13.5 square meters. So we've the site dictated that we had the rooms weren't 5 meters long, they were slightly shorter. We've taken the desk out by the shower and we've put that back into the techno wall like we did with our 10 square meter room product. And this is a project we're about to close at Paris Airport. So we've taken a whole big terminal space. It's about 80 to 100 cabins, mainly the 10 square meter cabins. So we use a mixture of 10 to 15 square meters. We're not fixed that this is our room product and thing. We think we have the 10 square meter room works and also the 15 square meter room works. So we sort of shift between what we think is suitable for that site. It's really, the idea is trying to find solutions for difficult sites, thin land spaces and so forth. And then this is another building that we've been looking at in London, just to give you an idea. So this is an old post office in London. The floor plates are about 20,000 square feet. And so any developers looking at it, this is 4 floors, any developers looking at it, they're looking to put a hotel on the top and then these 4 floors. And then what they have to do is obviously create an atrium in the middle to make this office space down below and residential or hotel on the top. And what we've come along, and the value is much higher, is that we've said, okay, well, don't put the hotel on the top where the best views are, put the residential on the top, don't create an atrium, and just fill up the whole 3 floors with 600 Yotel cabins. I mean, obviously this is a very dense floor plate and we would break it up with various different sort of lounges and other spaces, but you just get an idea that, the solution to, the difficult spaces, our product can go in and we can get a lot more rooms on a piece of real estate. But as you see from the numbers, we're still achieving, the same rates, if not higher, than any of the other budget hotels, even though our rooms are smaller. And a lot of that's to do with, the consumer. You look at, as I said, the Apple products. You look at Mini. People want luxury goods. They don't want to pay a lot for them. And so, we think that this is just a clever solution, just sort of rethinking how a hotel room is designed using aircraft designers to enable, and what I remember one of the biggest things that I remember there was a budget hotel conference in the UK a few years ago, and they asked what was the biggest sort of challenge, and they said finding sites. And so, this is a very good, and as there gets more competition, I mean, we've heard from so many of the big brands, and everybody wants 1,000 hotels in 2 years. So I think there's going to be a lot of competition for sites over the next few years. So I just think this is, when you get some difficult sites, this is quite interesting, whether it's mixed use, whether it's malls, and so forth. I think that's it.
That's it.
I think we're leaving the video today.
Okay. So a big applaud and congratulations for the support.